Hey everyone, welcome back. As you can see, a little bit of a mixed bag since the last video. Really eventful match with Hamburger, which we really dominated, but could have given away pretty easily with some of the goals we gave up, but came back with two late goals to win there. I made a mistake in the Freiburg match trying to not rotate the squad as much, thinking maybe we could get through that first week given how early it is without the rotation I talked about last video. And then have a week off before Hoffenheim, and we just shouldn't have done that. Basically, players were pretty exhausted. Had to obviously could only sub three of them, so just didn't work. Then the last match against Hoffenheim, obviously didn't get a goal out of there, but we really dominated that match. So it was a more encouraging performance. But now have to come back 3 days later and play Gladbach, who's obviously a better team than us. If we look at the standings right now, we're still doing pretty well mid-table, which would be a good finish for us. Gladbach in fifth. They could obviously move all the way up to second if they beat us here, and then Bayern will be our next match. They're up in first. We're still gonna play the 4-3-3 now for this match, but pretty heavily rotated. It compared to my last match, making three changes at the back, two in the midfield, and really all three up front. So heavily rotated, and then when we play Bayern, we'll probably have to rotate a little bit more. Sorry, two at the front. Luther was in there last time. I think we probably will move to balance once the match starts, but we'll try to get through a little bit first. Here we go. We get started. You can see we brought our defensive midfielder up to play that box-to-box midfielder role, which he's certainly capable of. And it's part of the rotation. Like I talked about last time, some of the rotation at times will just be a matter of moving people into different positions. And then, maybe the next match that person is one of the ones that gets rotated out, but kind of have to be a little bit inventive with how we're going to rotate without basically giving up on matches. Really liked our team's ability to just do that, just to work through some tight spaces, pick out the pass and eventually move it up the field. Not the great shot selection that we would have liked, but if we can hang with Gladbach, I'll be happy with that. Obviously, I'd take a point, but just not looking overmatched. I think at this point, with being newly promoted, that's pretty much a win for us if we can just not look overmatched here. Need a better pass out of Luther there, especially considering he's one of the ones that we need to carry the team, given we rotate so many others. Great shot there, and got very lucky and continue to have that issue where we get split down the middle too much between our center backs. Or to get through by there, you get the block, but should never have gotten to that point. Really eventful first 7 minutes or so. Keep having highlights, which for us is not really a great thing. In the long run, we want this match to go by without too much happening. It's going to set us up for success. Move to balance now, even though we haven't been too overmatched early on. It's what's going to give us the best chance to get out of here with something. They're passing the ball around, not much pressure from us, and kind of weird that came in as a highlight. And another one so quick again. This isn't great for us. We want a good goal. Would have liked a little bit more pressure there, but just the difference in class between these two teams right now. I'm going to go make the change and go a little bit more direct here, I think. Just the difference in quality that gives our best chances just to find that one good chance here and not try to have to make so many passes to break through. We just need to find one, and that gives us the best chance to get back in the match. XG, they're definitely starting to pull away, which isn't surprising, but see if we can get something. And there we go. That's really what we need to do is, especially as a team like this, we need to find ways to create off of set pieces. I think that's our first set piece goal of the season outside of penalties. And, we have some good people in the air. It's just, that's our best chance against a lot of these clubs. I'm going to praise them, I think, just staying in with work, as you can see, but for me, I'm happy just to be hanging in here. They've controlled a lot, and that's what playing more direct does, is right there. Not having to build up through the middle against a team with much better quality, just that one long pass sets us up, and now we have another chance to maybe create off the set piece. Decent header, and maybe we're getting a little bit out on the front foot as we end this half, which is better than we would have expected coming in. So I'm pretty happy with what we saw. Obviously, we'll look at some of the data, but just looking at the XG, they started pulling away a little bit, and then we made those couple tactical changes, and I think it really helped us get a little bit more on the front foot. See, I'm pretty happy that we're not just pinned back into our end with that spacing. But then looking at the shots, we don't really want these two from so far out, just kind of waste opportunities, but getting pretty good variety in there, but definitely letting them, even though their goal came from outside, just letting them get a lot of chances down the middle, which isn't great for us. Let it go probably about 10 minutes, and then we'll start looking at who we want to sub in. Again, keeping in mind that we have Bayern in a few days. Probably going to change the system and play that 3 or 5 in the back system for that match, but still kind of have to keep in mind that we have that coming. So, if you bring one of our key players back in, we don't need it. If we're holding on to the draw, we have to keep in mind that it's going to not get them that full rest that we were hoping to get before the Bayern match. Great save there. That's the problem that we have, obviously, against a team with this quality, is they can build it through those passes and really break you down. To me, that's going to be offside. Let's see what this says. Great pass, but I thought he was off. Anyways. I didn't think it was particularly close, but I guess it was no. Quite a bit off. In reality, would probably be unhappy that the assistant didn't flag that one right away. I'd say the one issue we've had with Baumgartlinger so far is just picking up a ton of yellow cards. Picked up 2 in that match that we lost against Freiburg. So obviously I missed the last match for just way too undisciplined. It's the type of thing where really would be hard to keep him in the squad if you keep picking him up. We might have to figure out a way to make him a rotation option instead, which I don't really want to do, but can't keep, especially against teams where we need to have every advantage we can. We can't keep picking up yellow cards. And really, in that case, he picked up 2. The match was pretty much done at that point, but obviously can't have it happening earlier in the match and being a man down when there's no visibility. I think that's a good opportunity now to look at who we want to sub out. Zalazar and Buther are the obvious ones, and that makes sense. They're 2 that we didn't have a chance to rotate, but think just looking at this, you can see the impact of just all this fixture congestion. When you look at Phillips and Fosu down here, like I said, we have these two. It's just we're in a position where we can't really sub off everybody. We would like to get some rest, but we'll obviously just have to make do. In the middle, would like to get Scott the whole game off, especially since he hasn't really been great for us so far this year. What I think I'm going to do is move Flick up, alternate these two. Daw is capable of playing that defensive mid spot, so I'm going to do that and then bring Cat back in, even though that's not ideal either. I would have liked to give him the full game off. I'm also going to stop counter pressing. If anything, I'm going to make sure we get back and just, if we can hang on to this 1-1 draw, that's a great result for us. And that's the problem. We have to rotate that central midfield so much as we just don't have a ton of great playmakers. And when you have to rotate like that, it just makes it even harder to break the other team down. To me, like that was offside in the middle, but it doesn't look like it was called. Great recovery there, but again, we're giving them way too much space to get into those great scoring positions. Not really too much other than just triggering the press, which could get us. Maybe I'll just get stuck in and just really try to get those tackles where we can. I mean, overall, pretty even match, which I wouldn't have really expected. It's just a matter of these fitness concerns are really what is worrisome. We've been being careful in our training to really just use a lot of rest. It's going to have an impact. We can't train some of the things we would like to, but just have to give them as much rest as we can in between matches. To me, like that's going to get another offside goal. If not, it's terrible defensive communication, but to me, that was offside. And it is. So, maybe a little bit lucky for us, but also, again, like I've talked about in one of the other videos, just much better cohesion here. And again, not even a close one there. Really poor. I think from the highlights we've seen, just really poor out of the left in this match. Just giving the ball away way too often. They get another chance that we'll have to defend here. Pretty good header away, and I think that's where we see maybe we'll go ahead and make this change now. Offensively is take off to be more expressive, but I think playing for set pieces is probably our best chance to maybe, not that we deserve full 3 points, but probably gives us our best chance to somehow manage to. I give it 2 more minutes, then we'll look at who we want to use our last sub on. Yeah, pretty good defense there by John, maybe encouraging for us that he can get more involved. Haven't really rotated those center backs yet this season. Another corner, obviously not ideal, but hopefully we can defend it. We'll see if we can get out on the counter, but good first ball at least, and then good juggling there. And now we do have the counter. They don't have anyone back, and let's see if he can finish it off. Not quite. He's not a great finisher. Really why I didn't really want him to be the striker rotation, but didn't have another great option right now. But I think we're going to go ahead, and that's going to be our last changes. Getting a striker on to see if we can make a goal here. Top end, yep, and we'll see. I don't think there's, to me, that one looked on. I think Let's see if I'm right about this one, like I was the other two. And when I am, so pretty obviously instant impact, fourth of the season. Two of those are penalties. But yeah, just on that direct passing really pays off there, and then great finish. So XG shows it's actually been pretty even, which I think for us would have been a pretty good result, just being even with them coming in with where they are, established team, a quality team, and us just trying to stay in the league. And now it looks like we might be able to steal all 3 points. Make a change right now. Not going to go to defensive. I think the way we have set up that could backfire. I'm going to go to wasting time whenever we have the chance. A terrible giveaway in the middle of the field. It looks like good recovery there. Saves us, but can't do that in this situation. Good, great 1-2 there by them that they just aren't able to finish. See if we can get through these last 90 seconds or so. Just hopefully, this is where I would like to see them just using that direct pass like that, even if we end up not winning the ball just like that. We don't, but still drives them all the way back to the back. Either gives us a chance to win a header if they had gone with the long pass, or they have to break us back down, which they did, and just not again. That's really lucky for us. Certainly not going to complain about anything after this match if we can hang on, because at times we haven't deserved it, but overall I think a draw would have been fair. But obviously we'll take 3 points if we can hang on for this last little bit. Good recovery there. I think I've been happy with what we've seen, at least from the highlights of that performance, rotating at the left back position. I struggled a little bit last year when we would have to use them, but it looks like adapting well to the Bundesliga. XG a little bit behind for us, so where we probably didn't necessarily deserve the win, but I think a draw would have been fair, and certainly we'll take the 3 points. And so that with actually a match in hand against most of the teams, that Wolfsburg has only played 3 so far, but with games in hand against most of the league, jumps us all the way up into fourth. We probably a loss coming with our next match, and I'll be back for that with us playing against Bayern, like I said, debuting that new system. All right, and so we're back to probably come back down to earth playing against Bayern. We'll make sure. I think we could definitely run into issues during the match conditioning wise, but everybody says they're okay. So this is what we'll go with. Like I said, debuting the new system and doing it at relatively full strength for this system. Maybe could bring Harit in. Actually, going to do that right at the start. I'll make him the box to box midfielder, just given some of the fitness concerns there. But otherwise, we're obviously going to be playing more defensive and just looking for that one chance to break through. But understand that against Bayern, it's much more likely that we're giving up 3 or 4 along the way. Obviously, their normal strong lineup, we obviously can't compete with their talent, and just looking for luck to be on our side, really. So here we go. Obviously, a lot more recognizable names on their side, but hopefully this just change in tactics, I think, fits us against them as much as we can. They obviously could still have the quality to pass through us no matter how many people we put back, but hopefully this just gives us the better chance to kind of absorb the pressure and just look for that one chance to get out, looking for basically what we had at the end of the last match where we got that long ball over the top to Joveljic, and he's able to bury it. I think he has that quality. Obviously, much better keeper on there, and that plays further out and can intercept balls like that. So that does make that approach a little bit tougher. That just might, they have all that athleticism and then just that ability to pass it back, make those short passes, and just find that one pass that just gets through your lines. I think the one thing I didn't set here is keep playing for set pieces for this match. I think just gives us the best chance to nick a goal, either to get a point or maybe similar to the last match, we can get lucky and it turns into 3 for us. Missed tackle there by Davies, but and I think that's going to be onside. I don't think there's any issues there, and that's not playing for set pieces and really not being that direct. Just that one bad missed tackle kind of let Luther through early on. If he pulls it back and just quick passing, then it's bad. Back it up a second here. I mean, not something you would expect from a team with this quality, and it's just something that we run into with issues at times. But 4 defenders and still letting that ball in and looking at that space between what I assume is the 2 center backs. This could be the right back coming back here, but just way too much space to allow one striker to get through and score the goal. Great save there, and I assume that had gone outside. It's off, out of bounds. Doesn't look like it did, but then it's offside. I mean, overall, keeping them to 6 shots so far. They have the quality to change that in a hurry, but it seems like this approach is working for us as much as we could have hoped for. It gives up a lot of space to those type of passes, and we've said just take that one moment for them, given the quality they have. I think the one thing I am going to do, obviously, when we play 4 at the back, we do this already, but I am going to bring all my defenders closer in just to try to, I think it's something that works in the game, but also in reality, I think knowing Lewandowski is their best threat among a lot of threats, just need to try to make it harder for him to find space. Sabitzer really giving us a headache, not surprising. I think probably one of the more underrated players there. You see that having so many defenders in the middle really makes it into a weak header. That's a lot easier to deal with. So not surprising, getting pretty significantly outplayed, only managing the 2 shots, but obviously what matters is right now we would have 1 point out of this match. I think it's one thing to see in today's squad that I've liked is the versatility of Fasu Mensah being able to play that defensive midfielder spot. I think gives us an extra option that I really wasn't expecting when I picked him up, and it's another example of how I can rotate without having to give up quality at times. They obviously have a lot of quality in the air too, so set pieces defensively are going to be tough for us. Move Reed out there, and then bring Zalazar on. Just gives us a little bit more presence going forward. Make that 1 for now and give it another 10-15 minutes before we look at if we want to make any additional changes. It's dangerous against a team like Bayern to be making all these short passes, but then make one long pass and give it away. But at least so far, structure is holding up, which is, they can find a way to break that down like that. It doesn't take much, but great save. I mean, that was an opportunity that they probably should have finished off. All right, so at 70 minutes, maybe a little bit of frustration or just they're dealing obviously with the same fixture congestion that we are, but a few yellow cards in a row, still getting absolutely dominated. But yeah, we'll take the point if that's what we can get here. But I think it's time to make some more subs. Seems like we're really struggling on that left side, so it's not my normal change. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then Phillips looks exhausted, so bringing Kaminsky, even though he hasn't played much, hopefully he can at least see this out. Not where you want to be taking a throw in from and turns into a quick giveaway, but nice recovery there for us. That was dangerous, and we're not pushed out much, so ends up with going right back to Bayern. But I think that's really the best we could have hoped for with the throw in there. But then that quality, we just don't have the power again, just making the saves to keep us in it, because that really should have been another goal. Looks like they're going to get a penalty here, I think. So that's not what we needed when we held in there as much as we possibly could have. And Lewandowski, not surprisingly, finishes it off. I think I'm just going to stay with this system at least until the last couple of minutes. Maybe we'll go be more adventurous if we get to the 80th minute, but especially given I've made the subs, can't really do anything with who I've got out there. I think can make some changes in who's position where in the midfield. Let's see if this is enough though. Oh, and that's the chance we really need to finish right there. We're probably not going to get another chance for that quality in this match, just given how strong Bayern is. We didn't get anything on that set piece, so we'll see what happens out of this highlight, even though throwing from so deep is potentially not great for us. We worked it out pretty well. Not the best pass. There was a much easier, shorter pass that could have been picked out there. I think they called that a penalty. I thought that was a clean tackle. That should have just been a corner. I disagree with that, but nothing to do about it. And another goal. I think just knowing that we're just trying to stay up and goal difference could be a factor later on in the season, I think it's going to stay in this system and try to limit the damage, even though it is 3-1 already. It could certainly get worse, so just going to try to stay. And Lewandowski, that's one he normally finishes, but really poor positioning there by our defense. I think we were really starting to see them kick it on, obviously getting dominated in XG. I think the quick start maybe gave a little bit of false hope, but this could have been much worse, still could get worse, but I think overall the system against other teams I think would work better, not surprisingly, but they just got so much quality that they don't need much space to succeed. To see it out with a 3-goal loss, I'll take at this point. Maybe one loss maybe shouldn't have gone so direct in this match, just given that we have so many people close together. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to go so direct here. Should have been willing to make those shorter passes at times. I think this is one we just kind of chalk up and forget. Wasn't going to be a great match for us playing against Bayern. All right, so not surprisingly, a loss there. Transfer window is closing pretty soon. I'm not expecting too much to happen, but we do have one kind of surprise out there that wasn't expecting, but could really strengthen us this season. So I think next time we'll see if that comes to fruition and if there's any other surprises as the window closes. Thanks, everyone.